Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to do a little bit of shooting with my new PSA Palmetto State Armory AKV9. And this is a pretty close facsimile of the Izhmash Russian-built Vityaz submachine gun that would be a 9mm as well. And this is a gun that many of us have been waiting for a long time. You know, Kalashnikov USA has been promising the KR9 forever, and we've not seen it emerge on the market. We've seen guns like the Definitive Arms AKX9, which is an extremely well-built gun, although pricey when it came out. You know, it scratched that 9mm AK itch. Well, PSA brought this gun out at a very attractive price point, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on one. And so I set an alarm, and when these things went on sale on the PSA website, I think it was 3:30 in the afternoon, I was right there on my computer. I waited all day, got there, placed my order. The only ones, they had three different variations available. The only one they had left was the MOE model. I wanted just the standard AK furniture, but they didn't have any. They sold out that fast within minutes. So I was lucky enough to get one of these, or so I thought I was lucky. And so this has the MOE furniture on it, has the SB tactical brace on here. And it is a pistol. And yeah, so we took it out to the range yesterday. If you follow us on Instagram, and we had some problems with the gun. It turns out I thought we only put 300, but it was more like 500 rounds through it. We shot a half a case of ammo through it, and we pretty much had every imaginable failure you could come up with. We had failures to fire, failures to extract, failures to eject, failures to feed, and yeah, so the gun had all sorts of issues. I'm gonna go ahead and take this little rubber piece off the charging handle, or I will before we start shooting here. Everybody's asking what this thing was. It's a protective piece. And the off chance that that's actually causing malfunctions, I'll put that in my pocket. So we took the gun back and we cleaned it up, lubed it up again, and we have it back out today. And we may probably be sending this gun back for warranty repair. Rob Ski sent me a screenshot of a post that PSA had made to the AK files, I believe, saying that they were aware of the failures to feed, failures to eject, and they were stopping production of the AKV9 to try to get to the bottom of the problems. Now, we're going to shoot it this afternoon, see if we still have the problems. We've tried Winchester Federal, Fiocchi, Freedom. We've tried every type of 9mm we have on hand, and the gun has the same problems using its factory magazine and using the CZ magazines. But yeah, so anyway, the gun comes to market right around $650 to $700, depending on the configuration you get. And we'll get into the internal components of the gun here momentarily. But I mean, externally, it looks really, really good. And I was really excited for the amount of money I paid for it. And PSA didn't send this to me. That was not hand-picked. They had no idea I had ordered it, and they didn't hand-pick it. Obviously, the gun doesn't work right. At least it hasn't yet, thus far. And I paid full retail for it. So there was no hand-picking going on. So it didn't come with a paycheck, and it didn't come as a freebie. I bought it. And that's what we can do here at the Military Arms channel, thanks to our Patreon supporters. So if you would like to support us in our mission to bring you honest information about new products on the market, consider becoming a Patreon, link down below. So anyway, let's go ahead. We have some Fiocchi ammunition here, and this is their 35-round magazine. It comes with one, and they're perpetually out of stock on their website. The magazines load really nice. It's a Scorpion Evo mag, and it looks to be of good quality. And I'm just going to insert the magazine into the gun. One thing I will point out really quick here, it has safe, a full auto marking, which isn't full auto, and then a semi-auto marking. So people have asked about that, seeing the pictures. Yes, it has the full auto detent, but it does not fire full auto. You'll also notice that when I put it on safe, it hyperextends and goes past the top cover. It should stop right there, but there's no stop. It just goes right on up, and if you just pull on it, it'll go right on around. Thankfully, my primary arms red dot stops it, so if you get crazy and really whack it up, you can actually disassemble the gun or actually take the safety lever out of the gun by accident. All right, so let's go ahead and chamber around here really quick. And looks like the bolt went home. We'll talk about some of the failures we had, but the bolt, if it's out of battery, just even a hair, it won't fire, but it looks like we chambered around, so hopefully it'll run this magazine just fine. Here we go. Got our little rubber dummy downrange. And it does lock open on the last round fired. You will notice the ejection is erratic and all over the place, and that could contribute to some of the malfunctions we were having. Hopefully the gun straightens itself out though. So this is a UW Gear bandolier, and it has standard Czech-made CZ magazines in here, and the gun does use these. Go ahead and grab one of the 30 rounders, lock it in, charge the weapon. Looks like the bolt went closed again, which is a good sign. And there we go. So those are some of the malfunctions we've been seeing with the gun. That's just a failure to eject. I'm guessing it's running into the bolt as it's trying to go out. The bolt's catching it and slamming home on it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk about this other problem with the gun. So the way it's designed, it's very easy to do what I just did. I just basically dumped, I think, 2 rounds behind the bolt. So if I go ahead and open this up, let me try to get those bolt to go home. All right, so let's go ahead and clear the weapon. This is another one of the problems I ran into. Now I can't clear it because there's a round behind it, so the gun is ready to fire. Put it on safe, open it up, and you'll see a spent case and a live round down inside the action of the gun. So we ran into this yesterday. Unfortunately, this is very easy and all too common to happen with the gun. It's just designed in such a way that rounds can easily fall behind the bolt and don't so easily fall out. There's the spent case. See if we can get the live round out of it. There's the live round, and there's that safety lever just flipping around. Yeah. All right, so now we got a live round in the chamber. Go ahead and put it on safe. So you can see how the top hinges up. I didn't plan on getting into this right now in this part of the video, but you can see how the top hinges up just like a Vityaz. And then it has this rubber recoil pad back here. I'll express my concerns about that design here momentarily. All right. Should have, seems like it's going into battery today, which is an improvement over yesterday. All right, let's get my magazine. That round fired. All right, another malfunction. Make sure you rotate the ejection port down. See how another round just fell out of there? It was falling behind the bolt. It just fell out. If you hold the gun like this at an upward angle at all and try to clear a malfunction, you're going to get a round behind the bolt. All right, so I just charged it, and this is another problem we were having yesterday. You'll notice it's slightly out of battery, and there's no amount of trying to help it home. I'm going to go ahead, well, let me, Jason, come over here and stand over here in a safe area. I'm going to, behind the muzzle here, I'm going to show you that even if I pound on it, all right, I can't get it to go into battery, no matter what I do. And this happens with all the ammunition I mentioned at the opening of the video. That little hairline opening is going to cause a click and no bang. All right, so click and no bang. And a malfunction, trying to clear the malfunction. And that one went into battery. And you can see rounds are falling up, down, left, right, and another malfunction. There's a spent case inside the ejection port. Now, as I mentioned, PSA made a public post on the AK file saying they're aware of these problems. I should also mention when I first got the gun, I noticed right out of the box the disconnector was bad. The hammer would follow the bolt home. I posted on Instagram. PSA immediately sent out a disconnector, which is working. The hammer no longer follows the bolt home. All right. See, it goes into battery nice and smooth there. I'm guessing maybe the chamber's out of spec or something. And then we're out. Grab another one out of my little UW Gear pouch here. Nice little pouch. I love these pouches. I like it for my AR-15 magazines as well. That one went home. And click, no bang. So during firing, for those of you who are like, oh, you're limp wristing the bolt. No, I'm not. During firing, click, no bang. It's just slightly out of battery. All right. Hold the weapon down, because if I hold it back like this, it'll cause another malfunction with a round behind the bolt. And another malfunction. All right, we'll change up some ammo here. And just happened again. So I looked in there, pulled the bolt back like you normally would with any rifle that malfunctions, and just took a look in there, and in the process, got 2 rounds. I got one of them out due to the weight, but the spent case is just back there. Dang it. So needless to say, I'm not happy about the purchase. Now, thankfully, they've stopped production. You can see the spent case right inside there. they've stopped production of the guns to try to get control of the quality here and try to resolve the issues, which are numerous, that the gun's having. And apparently it's widespread enough where they made a public post about it. I'll post it here so you guys can see it. There we go. And they've said that they've stopped production. So let's go ahead and try to finish out this magazine, then take a look inside the gun. There's one other thing I'm a little bit concerned with, thing I'm messing with right now. All right, it's got a live round in there. All right, empty. So that's enough of that. Let's take a look inside the gun, show you basically how it works, and like I said, one other area that I'm concerned with a little bit with regards to the design of the gun. Field stripping the AKV9 is really simple and straightforward and very similar to what the Vityaz would be like. I assume I've never handled a real Vityaz, but this is as close as I've come. So anyway, field stripping it, make sure the weapon's empty, so the magazine's out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the bolt to the rear. Chamber is empty. And now I'm gonna go ahead and field strip it by pushing down the little button in the rear, just like a standard AK. And then it hinges up like a Krinkov. And yes, I know that's not its official name. And then you pull the recoil spring and buffer out, pull the bolt to the rear, and yes, it's a bolt, and then that's it. That's all you really need to do. Now you can take the gas tube off if you want to by, taking this off, but it's not really a gas tube anymore, it's just a tube. So it's a direct blowback gun, so it just has a heavy bolt with a spring. There's no locking lugs or anything like that. So this is completely field stripped. Now there's a couple of issues that I want to point out. One's not really an issue, one's just kind of, something I noticed. So it does have a last round hold open capability, and it has a bolt release right here on the left side of the mag well. And this appears to be a direct copy of Chase's patented mag well system. So it's pretty much a direct copy that we've seen before in Chase's or Definitive Arms guns. So I know they didn't license that. That's just, that's unfortunate. But anyway, so the other issue is this, and I hate seeing this in guns. Now IO Inc. did this, and theirs have disintegrated, and that's the use of these recoil buffers. And you use these when you can't control the bolt velocity and you don't want to beat the rear trunnion to death, and so they include something like this in the gun. Now this is like silicone or some sort of rubber, and I've seen these things disintegrate and go bad over time. So let's say the gun goes out of production in 10 years, you have this, and this thing goes bad, and you're forced to remove it. Now, when you go to put the gun back together, you're going to have a functional flaw. The guns, in my opinion, should not require a buffer to work. Optional, fine. Required, not a good idea. And you're going to run into this when you field strip the gun. Notice when I put the bolt back in, it won't go forward. Unlike a regular AK, just push the bolt and carrier in and push it forward. You can't do this because the hammer's blocking the bolt. It comes up and blocks the bolt, so you have to push the hammer down with your index finger. So guess what happens when you no longer have a recoil buffer? You get an unintended last round hold open. The gun will fire one round and malfunction. So this is a required component, and I think that's just a bad design. I'd like to see PSA do away with that altogether and make it an optional component, not a required component. The bolt should not be battering the rear trunnion if they properly weight it and do things as they should. The AKX9, for example, does not require a buffer. So I just thought I would point that out. All right, almost pinched my finger there. Some of you are probably rooting for that because I'm so brutally honest in my assessment of things. Some of you love me for it, others hate me for it. All right, so I'm gonna put it back the way it's supposed to be. And put the recoil spring and buffer back in there. And then go ahead and close the top cover. And you're back in business. Now that just shifted for some reason. Never seen it do that before. Oh, all right, so the top cover has a screw underneath here, I just realized. And that screw's walked out. Now I've seen this on the Parabellum armament top covers. They came loose with use, and this is doing the same thing. It slides back and forth. Now I gotta take my optic off and Loctite that, stake it if Loctite won't hold. I can't say I like that design either, but I can understand why. But you think if they're manufacturing, if the Parabellum armament had to compensate for different types of AKs, This, they have control over the production, so you wouldn't think they would need that adjustment in there, but apparently they do, and that's not a good thing. All right, so I'm gonna have to lock that down and stop that from shifting around. Now you do have a fixed rear sight here that's non-adjustable, but your front sight is adjustable. My sights were way off out of the box, but I've made no attempt yet to adjust that front sight. So you have elevation and windage adjustment here in the front. I just opted for a primary arms micro dot for the gun, which I'll just continue to use. I'll eventually set the iron sights. This would never be a go-to gun for me simply because of the problems I've run into with it already, and it just isn't up to my standards for personal protection. It's more of a range toy at this point, which is unfortunate because I really had high hopes for it. It looks great. I mean, the gun looks awesome. Hopefully PSA can get some of those issues sorted out. People are already asking about the AK9 in some of my social media posts about the AKV9. And this is Jason's gun, and he's had really good luck with it. Now, it's rather crude. It's made in Romania. I don't think it's made at the Cougar factory. It's made at Nova Modul, but it is made in Romania, and it's imported by Century Arms. It has a polymer mag well down here that kind of takes up the opening of a standard AK mag well. It says Draco on the side, which you can see there. But yeah, so it seems kind of chintzy. It has a recoil buffer in it too. I don't know if it's required or not for it to function. But, you know, a lot of people are interested in these, and they're affordably priced, and they use Glock magazines. So this is the exact same Fiocchi ammunition with Jason's AK9, and he as well has an SB Tactical brace system on it here. So you'll notice, first of all, the ejection pattern on this thing is very, very consistent. You don't want to do that. This is the takedown button and not the magazine release. So if I push that, the whole magazine adapter will pop out. I got to push the button. But this gun works, and we're using the exact same Fiocchi ammunition. And Jason's had really good luck with this little thing. Not quite a Vityaz clone, but, you know, hey. Mr. Rubber Dummy's having a bad day, but there you guys go. We'll do more and do another video on the AK9, but this will give you an idea of how it compares to the AKV9. At least Jason's gun works. I'm sure there's people out there that may have problems with theirs, but this little guy works, even though it's rather crude and hobbled together looking. You can't argue with functionality. By the way, guys, this is Winchester ammunition, 124 grain NATO. So I'm just showing you guys that it's not one type of ammunition that causes the problems. It's also worth noting that this rubber recoil buffer here in the back is just a standard recoil buffer, it seems. So it's not like it's a proprietary part. You may have gotten that from my disassembly video. It's not a proprietary part. I think it's just a standard AK recoil buffer. All right. The ejection's all over the place with this thing, and I'm turning my Mr. Rubber Dummy target around. He's turning away from me. I bayoneted him last time he did that. I'm using the bolt release and click no bang. And that time the extractor hopped off the rim. When I tried to clear the malfunction, just left the live round in the chamber. So the extractor claw did not grab the live round. So now I got a real malfunction to deal with here. I ejected through the ejection or through the mag well. All right. Oh, that's an ugly one. So this thing's got all sorts of different issues, guys. It's not just one type of malfunction. This thing is just a complete hot mess of malfunctions. I don't even know what that was. And that just threw the round behind the bolt. I don't know if you can see that in there. Yeah, the rounds behind the bolt, that's what's holding it open. It's right there. Let's see if we can get it out. I have to hold the hammer back sometimes and shake. There we go. Yeah, not ideal, unfortunately. And I can understand why they stopped production. If they stopped production, chances are it's not just a limited number of guns that are having this issue. It would probably mean that there's a problem with production in general. Closed on that one. Yeah, my Mr. Rubber Dummy doesn't want to face me. So, yeah, it sucks. I was very, very excited about this gun. Hopefully they can get it up and running. If you guys are looking at buying one, you may want to wait for Generation 2. Yeah, I would hold off. But they've stopped production, so you couldn't get one right now if you wanted to. So maybe when they come back out, PSA will have everything working. One thing I will say about PSA is that they're owning this. They're not doing what Century Arms has done in the past and said, oh, there's no problems here. We've only had 2 guns returned, the RAS-47. They're immediately recognizing there's problems with the guns, and they're making public statements and working to rectify them. So I would say that's a very positive thing. I just wish they would have got it right out of the box. The AKV9 has a standard 1/2x28 thread here on the barrel. We're going to find out if it's concentric to bore right now. It does butt up against this would-be gas block, which isn't a gas block. And so hopefully everything's at right angles and it won't give me a baffle strike. I'm shooting not subsonic. This is just some standard NATO 124 grain Winchester. And they didn't go into battery, I'll tell you that right now. Another one of those crazy malfunctions where the bolt holds on to the spent case. That fall back in there. Ah, fell back in there. It's laying right there. I mean, that's just a bad design, guys. That's going to take a lot more than fixing production problems. That's going to take a redesign of the bolt to resolve that type of an issue, which needs to be resolved before this thing will be considered anything more than a novelty. All right, I'm just going to say it doesn't like being suppressed. It's more malfunctions. Oh, dang it, I just did it again. Spent case and live round that time. All right. Very, very depressing. That top cover sliding all over the place, forward and back. Just slightly out of battery. And the extractor didn't grab it again. So, see if it'll go into battery this time. That time it went into battery at the same round. So during firing, it did not go into battery. And then dropping the bolt a second time, chambered it. And that's it. That's no fun to shoot. That's just a problem. So like I said, PSA is aware of the problem. They're aware of the disconnector problem. I got doubled or triple whammied. I had the disconnector problem. I have the cycling problems, the feeding problems, the ejection problems, the rounds falling behind the bolt problems. Yeah, the gun just doesn't work for me. So I'll send it in, and it does have a lifetime warranty, and I'm gonna take advantage of that. If you guys would like to support us here at the Military Arms channel and our mission to be consumer advocates, you can support us by following the link down below and becoming a Patreon supporter. Follow that link, pick a tier level, and join the Patreon family. Also, if you'd like to support us, another great way to do that is to pick up a Forge from Freedom t-shirt. We have all sorts of cool t-shirts, sweaters, and hoodies. Follow the link down below and pick something up. Directly supports us right here at the Military Arms channel. And last but not least, be sure to swing by and check out coppercustom.com, which is our online store. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for 10 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.